All right. Well, let's speaking of rings, let's just go right to it. Let's just go right to the NBA right now. CH, I'll start with you because you're our on the show Boston guy. You've been rejuvenated, reborn to with the Boston Celtics glory years that you lived through originally, so you don't have to go back and throw back and watch tapes. You were there. 1-1. All right, it's 1-1. They're going to play a game on Wednesday. They're going to play a game on Saturday. It looks like we'll do another show, and there will only be 2 games played. First thought before we look back is let's look forward. When we do another show after 2 games, what's the score of the series going to be? It's 1-1 right now. What's it going to be after Wednesday and after Saturday? Just the score.
If you could tell me who the officials were going to be in the 2 games, I could give you an answer.
It sounds like me now.
Newbie, I cursed your name about 20 times during the game last night because it was painfully obvious. I still think it's going to be Celtics in 6, so I think they're going to split here. And it will be 2-2 after 4 games. And then the Celtics are going to win the last 2.
This?
I'm completely with CH. I mean, I think, sometimes these series set up and just all across sports of being like one of those zigzag series. And that's when this one feels like to me. It's all about who's going to have the big run and when does that run come? You know what I mean? Because it was, what was it, the second quarter run that was really the delineating factor. In the first game, it was the third quarter run by the Warriors last night. So I think it's whoever gets hot at the right time. And still, Dave, the one thing that stands out to me, where the fuck was this Al Horford when he was in Philadelphia? You're playing like goddamn Ray Allen. We had, bootleg, whatever center you want to name. Absurd, dude. So that's the part that pisses me off. They get the best Al Horford that ever lived.
Porter, you lived in Philly. You got involved and heard the stories and watched the stuff daily about the process. Now you move to Boston and the team's in the NBA Finals. I think you might be the key to the whole damn thing here. Okay, so now you're there. What's the score of the series going to be after game 4?
Just because of, I'm going 3-1 C's.
Wow.
3-1 C's.
Home.
I think they bounce back after a big loss. I think they keep the momentum rolling as long as they're in Boston. The crazy thing about this series, and I think the NBA playoffs in general, has been that no lead has been safe at all throughout a game. You can go down 20, 18 in the third. Doesn't matter. The Celtics hit 7 threes unanswered. And what was it? The third quarter last game.
Yeah.
There is the Golden State obviously is known for their 3-point shooting, but the Celtics can shoot with them. And with that suffocating defense, I like the C's to sweep it home.
I cannot believe the runs. Speaking of runs, by the way, this hockey game was 3-1 going to the third period. Avalanche and Oilers. It's 5-5 with a minute to go in the third period. It's 5-5.
Hockey, bro.
The Avalanche were up 5-4. Edmonton scored a goal late to make it 5-5. The game is 40 seconds away from going to overtime. So for those of you that are interested in the hockey, there's your hockey update there. I'll say this. I think the series is going to be 2-2 also. But I think Golden State wins game 3 and Boston wins game 4. And I think, again, nobody knows shit. It's 3.5.
Lost 2 in a row yet.
Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, I think you'll see the books will need Golden State in game 3. And then everybody will fall for that bullshit in game 4. The Celtics will hold court, probably blow them out. And now they'll go back and have a 3-game series with 2 of the games at Golden State. I don't know. I'll go right back to you, Ben. I don't know who's going to win this series. I don't have a strong feeling either way. Do you have a strong feeling now that you're there? Do you think it's just like the Celtics are the better defensive team, they're going to win? The Warriors are the veteran team, they're going to win. Is there a definitive answer to that question? Do you have one?
I couldn't give you a definitive answer. I think people can infer based on my prediction for the series after 4 games.
Right.
But I'm not. I don't watch basketball up until pretty much the playoffs. I keep up with the Celtics a little bit, but I don't watch. I'm not a basketball connoisseur.
Okay.
But I do know teams and I do know vibes. And this Celtics team, compared to every other Celtics team that I have seen in recent years that gets touted as a potential championship team, this team has so much better championship vibes. I've never lost faith in them for a game. And so based on that, I think they can pull it out.
Noobs, who's winning this series? Do you have anything yet, or are you still kind of just going back and forth? You listening to the stuff on Wager Talk?
Yeah,
the boys are talking puck time, all this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you want, but I mean, for me, I think Porter's onto something there, man. There's just something about this C's team, and I know like CH hates it because when I pick his team, he doesn't want to hear it. When I pick against his team, he doesn't want to hear it. So what I did to be democratic, I actually, even as a Philly fan, like I wouldn't be destroyed if the Celtics win it. It would suck as a Philly fan. We did this whole process bullshit and the C's are going to win a championship before the Sixers ever even get out of the fucking East. Or even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, forget any of that shit. I think the C's might be live, but the way that I attacked it, Dave, after the game 1 overreaction, that's what I texted you guys when we were talking earlier. I took the 1.5 at even money, because that was a pretty big overreaction. After game 1, it was to see that the Warriors, who were a pretty decent favorite as everything opened up, to be plus 1.5 for the series at even money. Like that was just like a value play through and through. So I won't be destroyed if the C's win. Just do it in 7 games so I can get that wager home. That's all I ask, Dave.
CH, you ready to say the Celtics are going to win this NBA championship right now? Although it took you a while to come around, and you are a native New Englander. You're afraid to say your team's good until they're good, and then even then you're like, I don't know.
They'll say
I see you wearing the green. Are you ready to say it right now here on the show for the people?
So there's 3 things. The officials I already talked about, right?
Brutal.
Number 2, Porter says he breaks down game film on the baseball players all the time. I broke down the film on the game last night, and I counted how many fouls Draymond Green committed. I had him at 97 fouls in that game last night. So if they're going to allow him to play like he's Lawrence Taylor, and 3, if the Celtics don't throw the ball away, if they can limit the turnovers to 12, 14 turnovers,
right,
they win the series.
Yeah.
They only beat themselves, really. Giannis couldn't beat them, and Jimmy Butler couldn't beat them, and Steph Curry on his own won't beat them, even though he has the sweetest shot of any player I have ever seen. He's Ken Griffey Jr. swing on the basketball court. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing, isn't it? It really is. It's so much fun to watch, not right now for the Celtics fans, but you're right on all those counts. Like it is, the variables evolved right now. Forget about who makes more threes. Like I wish it was just that easy, but the way the game is called determines who wins the game. If they're allowed to play like it's hockey, I think Golden State's going to win. If they get called fouls and whatever, then Boston's probably going to win. I mean, it is that much impactful. Teams are this close. I don't think it's definitive. One is much better than the other. I think Boston's better defensively, although Golden State's very good. And I think Golden State has one extra weapon to give them a little bit edge offensively. But I agree with you. The totals have been fun. The first game flew over. The second game went way under. Now we go to Boston. They finally settled at 212.5. Expect it to be that number more the rest of the way. Started a little low the first game with 210.5, over adjusted all the way up to 215, and it flew way under. Last question before we move on, and I'll go right back to you, CH. Did it feel like Boston just kind of punted in that game in the fourth quarter? Like it just kind of at some point they, they empty the bench and they like throw everybody in. They never used to do that shit, did they?
Yeah, I think third quarter was ugly. Man, it was
So bad.
Lee, just it was the opposite of game one, right? I mean, Celtics did the same thing in game one. So I don't think there was any coming back. I think he's got to manage some injuries. I think Marcus Smart is still playing through the injury. Robert Williams obviously went down a couple of times last night. And, quite honestly, I think he was trying to save some of his starters from getting technical fouls because the officiating was terrible. So
they wanted a piece of Draymond bad. Like it was just getting to that point. Noobs is a former football player. And I know you're a lover, not a fighter, but like at some point, does somebody need to just go kind of give a forearm shiver to Draymond and just like you need an enforcer on a team? We talked about it in Philly all season. And Embiid can't be that guy. We don't want Tatum and Brown and all this other stuff getting caught up in it. But sure wouldn't be nice if we had like a Charles Oakley to go out and just give him a shot, right?
Well, and that's the exact thing. But like, do they really have that on this team? Like, I think one of the strongest parts of this Celtics team is the sum of all the parts. Like, yes, you have Tatum, you have Brown, that's all good and well and all of that. But when those guys are maybe down a little bit, think about in game one, it wasn't like Tatum had the most amazing game ever, but everybody rallied around him. So I honestly think, kind of taking your foot off the gas and taking the players out, not having them engage, and then turn this into a bruising series, where you potentially deal with ejections, where you potentially deal with, hey, you're not coming back in this game. I think it was the smarter way to kind of, so to speak, wave the white flag. Yes, you need those enforcers, but that's just not what this Celtics team kind of needs. I think what they need is a strong run. What they need is, their stout defense. If they start getting into some of the ticky-tack bullshit, which is what Green wants to get them into, that'll really hurt this team. So I think, heads up to the coach, man, who has done a terrific job all year long of really saying, get these dudes out of the game before this makes this series into what we can't win it as. So I thought it was actually a pretty smart move.
Yep. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, click on another video right here on the screen. And if you really liked it, consider subscribing below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.